Hey,
Hey now.
Hey.
hello.
So, Clay, I've got a bit of trivia for you.
Yes.
Because earlier we were talking about, we were having a discussion earlier about How I Met Your Mother. You brought up a girl, Vicky. Do you know who Vicky was played by?
Oh shit. She's a Hallmark actress now. Fuck.
Yeah, but no, her Courtney Ford, Brandon Routh's wife.
Oh, okay. Well, then I picked the wrong Vicky because I'm thinking of a different one on
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, saying that she now is a Hallmark actress does not narrow it down at all. Oh, yeah, she works in acting. Okay,
She is an actress. Yes.
up to it.
But I'm looking too to see how many people watched the finale of How I Met Your Mother versus Friends, and like 51 million people watched the finale of Friends. I mean,
Yeah, but you want to find out? I wonder how many people watched the finale of MASH. That was supposed to be hype.
Yeah, that's like one of the top 10 all time.
Yeah.
It's just there's a time period of TV that ends at around the early 2000s because of cable.
Yeah.
That we watch TV as a country together, and as much as people want to point out how bland and white Friends was, a lot of people watched it. A lot of people watched the end of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
it was just a community thing that we just don't have anymore. We don't all kind of share the same taste. Everything's broken down to different levels. Because you can go enjoy something on cable that a small group enjoys, but not on the level of what like Friends was.
And so far, our main topic today: how white is Friends? I have gathered 3 white people that I know, and then they'll tell me all about it.
Yes.
Just kidding. Before we do get into it. So we do have a main topic today.
Really, I never... Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
He did. He did break that.
Yes, it has finally happened. Hell is frozen, pigs have flown, and Daniel has seen Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Thank you to our 150 subscribers. So
more importantly, we hit. So I set a goal on Monday. I saw we were pretty close to 150, and I was like, all right, well let's up the ante. If we get to 150 by Saturday afternoon, so I have enough time to watch the movie before the show, and we hit 150 like Thursday evening.
Yeah, it happened really fast.
Yeah, like I texted the guys like, oh well, okay, well I guess we're doing this.
Guess we're doing this.
So as of this live now, we're at 153. So thanks to everyone that's subscribed and enjoying our content. So yeah, here we are. This will be our Pulp Fiction show. So if you haven't watched Pulp Fiction, what's wrong with you?
Now you can call out people.
Yeah, how quickly Daniel turns.
Right,
So.
I'm one of the elite now.
The elite.
But before we get into that, let's go into our previously on next issue segment and catch up on the stuff we've been reading and doing for this week. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Mine is very tangentially comics related, I guess. Not really, but I haven't read any comics this week, but I have watched more things than usual. The oddball stuff, I rewatched Blues Brothers because I bought it on Blu-ray like 4 years ago, and it's just been sitting on the shelf. And I was like, I'm going to rewatch this now. God, I love that movie so much. It is just a solid movie. And I forgot how much as a teenager I listened to that soundtrack. I knew every song in it. Like as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I know this. Yeah, just if you've never seen Blues Brothers, you owe it to yourself. Daniel. No, I don't know.
No, you're right. I haven't seen
Oh, Jesus, am I really? Oh my God, go watch Blues Brothers. And I will lend you my Blu-ray.
I've never seen it myself either.
What?
I need a
God,
never seen it graphic.
It is fantastic. It is really good. It is worth it purely for Carrie Fisher. And I say this as a movie that has tons of great people in it, but Carrie Fisher in it is just awesome. she I don't want to spoil anything, but Carrie
John
Fisher's
Candy.
in this movie.
John
Candy, who's also good. Yeah.
So the most I've seen
Orange Whip. Anyway, sorry.
The most knowledge I have of the Blues Brothers is when Dan Aykroyd would guest star on Jim Belushi's sitcom, and then they would do their blues thing. And I understand there's not the same thing, but
there was a part of me, my heart stopped for a second when I was afraid you were going to say the only thing I know about Blues Brothers is Blues Brothers 2000.
That's what I was concerned about too.
Yeah, right.
But then you invoked Jim Belushi, and
listen,
I have concerns.
I thought that was cool because, like, obviously they both love John, right? One of them is his brother, and Dan Aykroyd worked with him forever. So I think doing stuff like that was probably fun for them. Anytime they got together to like do that stuff. But yeah, no, I like Jim Belushi's sitcom. It was dumb, but I'm a sitcom guy.
I will say this. I was not a Jim Belushi fan until
he started growing weed.
Well, that too. No, until Twin Peaks: The Return, and he is so good in that. Like I just got done with that show when it aired, and I was like, oh God, Jim Belushi's so good in that. Like he's fantastic. He's great. So that's the oddball thing. The more comic-ish related stuff, I finally watched. This is another thing I'd bought like 2 years ago.
Many moons ago.
I love that. I love that past Josh gives future Josh so many presents. Like
yes, that's true. That's true. That's what all these books back here are. It's past Josh being like, you're going to want to read this one day, and then I never will, but I feel good about it. No, I finally watched 1975's Doc Savage movie with Ron Eli in the role.
Oh boy.
If you've never seen it, okay. This is because I've read several of the Doc Savage original pulp novels, right?
Uh-huh.
Here's the crazy thing about this movie. If some intrepid video editor wants to go in and just give it a better soundtrack, because all the music is Philip Sousa, and they spell Sousa S-O, and then the USA is in red, white, and blue. I mean, it's as corny as you can get. USA. USA. If they want to give it a better soundtrack and take out some of the more obvious camp elements, it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the pulp novels. I mean, like really faithful. He's got his 5 cohorts. He's got his rehabilitation hospital where he performs like brain acupuncture to remove the criminal element from people. He's got he's got his gadgets. I mean, it's a fairly faithful movie, and the basic overarching plot is pretty compelling, although it doesn't quite hold up if you really squint at it hard. But the camp elements just ruin it. It's like a movie always, it's always on the edge of just being really fun, and then the camp elements just kind of like twist it. It is worth it just for the fact that the asshole principal from Breakfast Club is Long Tom. He's one of the Faithful Five. And there are some absolutely amazing shots in that movie. Like some really, really cool, like just visual, almost noir aspects that hold up really well. But God, you just get crazy camp stuff. Like one of the bad guys sleeps in a giant cradle. Never explained why. There is absolutely no reason for it. It's just weird. And on one hand, I was like, that's kind of fun. Like I'm on board for weird, but anyway, so if you have, I think it's like all of 90 minutes. If you have 90 minutes to kill and just want to watch something ridiculous, check out Doc Savage. But the final thing is, and I've never been in this position before. I'm feeling very proud of myself right now. I'm the only one of the entire group here who's seen all of MODOK on Hulu. And boy, howdy, is it good. Now, I will say it is very much a Seth Green joint. If you are a fan of Robot Chicken, the humor is very similar. But the thing about it, and we kind of talked about this offline, the thing about it is the trailer for it makes it look like, oh, he's a supervillain, but also a dad. That is really only in the first episode. Those aspects play throughout the entire season, but it's not just playing with that trope. It actually goes into some really interesting places, honestly. One episode, I'll just be vague about it. One episode feels a lot like Futurama, when Futurama gets really, really good and really thoughtful and sentimental. One episode feels almost more like a Rick and Morty kind of jam. I mean, they go all over the place, but it's solid. And I haven't laughed out loud that hard, that consistently in a show for a while. There are some jokes in there that I still like will pop in my head and I just giggle. So anyway, if you've not seen MODOK, just sit down. It's 30 minutes an episode. They're all solid. Patton Oswalt is great in it. Everyone's really good. His daughter is played by Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The only spoiler I will give you, the only spoiler I will give you is there is a Whoopi Goldberg cameo.
Of course.
And you have to look it up because you probably won't figure out who it is. It's great. It's great. So anyway, that's what I've been doing.
So I've only watched 3 of MODOK. I think there's still something missing on it for me. So I'll keep watching it. But yeah, I couldn't binge it. Like I was like, all right, I'll watch 1 or 2 and then come back. I will say I think Beck Bennett is perfectly cast as that Austin douchebag.
Yes, he's
great. He's the worst. I love hearing Ben Schwartz as his kid.
Ben Schwartz nails it as his kid. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I'll keep watching it. It feels like a lot of candy at once when I was watching it. So maybe it'll be better if I just kind of space them out.
I will say that the first 3 episodes in particular set up a lot. By the middle, it kind of evens out a little bit. And then I will say, I think the last 2 episodes are very rushed. They try and wrap up a lot of stuff in 2 episodes, and it worked for me, but it did feel rushed. So
cool. All right. Well, while Clay gets back, Kyle, why don't you talk about what you've been doing?
Let's see. I'm like you guys. I'm only seeing the first episode of MODOK, and I still not sure where I stand on the first episode. Comic books that I've read Heroes Reborn, the Peter Parker Shutterbug, and the Sinister Society. Those were interesting. It's interesting to see where these characters are coming within this new Heroes Reborn universe. Peter is basically in the laboratory where the spider's supposed to bite him, but of course, thanks to but Flash Thompson does something where he isn't able to get bitten. So he basically, Uncle Ben's still alive. He ends up going to Empire University. Since it's set more in a recent kind of time period, his focus at Empire University basically is working on these drone-based cameras for using technology, and become more, again, still doesn't have any friends, and an accident happens to where instead of Uncle Ben, Aunt May dies, and so he drops out of school and basically becomes a photographer for the Daily Bugle, and it kind of goes there for him trying to figure out what's the purpose of my life.
Oh man, Mark Bernard went dark.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just a little bit. It's not even like it was a simple. It wasn't even like a simple death that Aunt May had. It was like basically she was the fatality of a hero taking out a villain gone wrong. I'm just leaving it at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The last guy that took out Aunt May got a beating.
Well, this one wasn't getting a beating because he ain't got no powers.
Yeah.
And then a Sinister Society was actually.
He's going to take some stern photographs. That's what he's going to do.
Some bad angles.
It's funny you should say that because he becomes the photographer for the superhero.
Oh, that's interesting. I need to read this. This sounds really good.
Okay, I see what. Okay, yeah, I need to read that too.
Okay, so Sinister Society is actually kind of a really fun one too. It's basically, think Thunderbolts, but basically Zemo having actually gotten it right with the villains. So it's Zemo with Sabretooth, Scott Lang as Fire Ant, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. And I'm trying to remember one or two other characters. Basically, he's got his own villain society, and so it takes them infiltrating this base where you have a whole bunch of the other members of the Squadron Supreme that aren't mentioned in the normal Big Five, and so it's them just kind of find it out on each other. So they also have a Soviet. It's not Red. God, what is his name?
Red Guardian.
Not Red Guardian, but it's basically a Soviet Captain America.
Okay.
And, so he's another one of the members also, and it's funny because the guy says something about saying, "I'll take out more people than you, Sabretooth," and Sabretooth goes, when you get all huff and puffy like that, it almost makes me respect you. So there's some nice little banter between the teams, but that was the other one I read. Also read Better Ray Bill #3, which I put in the Discord yesterday. But this comic book, have any of you guys ever seen Green Lantern, the animated series by Bruce Timm? Okay, so it reminds me so much of this because you have let's put the way I'm viewing this is Better Ray Bill is Hal Jordan. You've got Pip, who is like his alien sidekick. You've got in the series they also have a Red Lantern who is basically kind of in redemption fighting with them. So hence you've got what's his name? The guy with the guns. I can't even think of his from Thor. Executioner.
Yeah.
And then you have the ship. I think the ship in Green Lantern was called Aya, which basically forms a body for herself. And in this issue, you have Scuttlebucket, who makes a physical body for herself. And it's just like,
okay.
Yeah, and it's just, and they're in Suture's level, and it's a lot of fun. Again, it's the buddy cop that we never knew we wanted, a book. And so, like I said, in some ways, I think if DC could get it right, I think Blue Beetle and Booster could be this fun if they would just find the right creative team.
Well, I am reading the comic along, and I have some of those same concerns that Josh had from reading Beta Ray Bill was his look, him not being able to return to a normal.
Well, and that's the reason for the story.
The body.
Second issue, they actually find Odin in this galactic bar, and he says you got to go to find this sword, and Sutures remain to actually have power to be able to do that again. So.
Yeah, I guess they weren't really on point at the beginning, but as they go further and kind of tell the story, it makes more sense that it's kind of like Billy Batson being trapped as Shazam and never being able to be that kid again. So it's just because he was an adult, I don't have the same concerns, but as he lives through it, they explain it a lot better.
Yeah.
And then the last issue I read was, if you guys haven't done it, I'm ashamed of you. Stargirl Spring Break Special.
Haven't read it. Oh, I didn't pick it up.
I have it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's basically dealing with them reforming the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and it's actually kind of interesting. There's a little special day where basically the new Red Avenger is picking up the members, and they pick up Oliver and Emiko, and Emiko's like saying, you should be more like the original 1940s Green Lantern. And he says, I was the first Green Lantern. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like saying, well, apparently the way they have DC history now is both him and Roy, for a short time, a period got thrown into the past, and they became the 1940s Green Arrow and Speedy. So, yeah, and oh my God. And so they were a part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and so it's like, I'm okay with this. I am so okay with this. So they get brought in, and then you have like a little they start having a friendship form between Stargirl and Emiko, Red Arrow. So it's a fun book because after watching this series, it's a nice little revision of looking at the history of the Seven Soldiers of Victory.
Oh. And I love the Todd Knock cover.
I was going to say the same thing, man. He is always on point with his covers. Yeah,
and it's leading into Stargirl #1, official Stargirl #1.
Okay, so she's getting. Well, I mean, that makes sense. Series is about to come back.
Yeah, right. So I'm on board. I'm like, if I'm on board.
Well, anything having to do with stars, Stark Heroes, I look to you and Clay, Kyle, for guidance. Cool. Clay, what about you?
Well, as usual, Joe Bob hosted Friday Night Drive-In, so we got to watch Maniac Cop 1 and 2.
Oy.
Have you guys seen Maniac Cop 1 and 2?
1, and I know about 2.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, 1 has Tom Atkins, who I'm a huge fan of, so
Yeah, well, hold
it
on,
was
hold on.
awesome.
It also has Bruce Campbell. Give the man his due.
A very young Bruce Campbell. I mean, he's not even full chin yet.
I know.
It's like a baby. It's a baby Bruce. They're both in it, but the Maniac Cop is the best part of that film, and it's just so fun to watch.
That guy is scary looking.
Yeah, I don't even want to share the image.
Come on, drop the image. Drop the image.
Oh, let me find a good one.
Yeah,
All
fine.
right. All right.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, isn't 2 basically him kind of brought? Well, I don't want to spoil anything. I know 3.
Come on.
Okay, he's brought back as is it 2 or 3? He's brought back as a zombie.
Stop spoiling these old movies.
So I don't want to spoil the sequel of Friday the 13th Part 7, but Jason comes back.
That looks gross.
Yeah. Well, he gets that in the end of the first movie, so he carries it on to the next one. It's awesome looking.
Yeah, that was even worse. I don't even want to share that.
Is he a zombie in 2 or just 3?
Just 3.
Okay.
Well, I haven't seen 3 because I've just seen 1 and 2. So 2,
sorry, I didn't mean to spoil it for you.
Ba-bum. Watched a documentary called Naughty Books, and this is about the publishing industry of romance novels, and it follows 3 people who self-publish and them trying to make their way through what publishing is now, because there's a lot of self-publishing.
Yeah.
And it's just people just able to make coin on their own, or what publishing houses are going through. But because it's romance and it has such a hardcore fan base, it was a really great documentary. It showed a lot of stuff I didn't know about, but it's fun to follow these people through their journey. Currently reading Nuclear Family. Anyone else? Stephanie Phillips. Weird. So I'm in, and I don't even know if how to explain it, but it's a 1950s nuclear family that are bombed, and when after the nuclear bombs clear, everyone's communist and they think they're spies. So it's almost like they traveled to another dimension or something else, and they aren't quite explaining it, so it's kind of slowly going along. But the art by who's the artist on this? Hold on, Tony.
God, they even look like that Maniac Cop.
Yes,
yeah.
There's
a lot of melting faces this episode.
Tony Chastain. That's it. They discovered that they've also started to militarize zombies. It's a weird book. I'm just gonna say, if you're into weird, it's so
that
fun.
sounds awesome.
And then let's see here. I'm rereading old Howard the Duck magazine stuff because it's weird. It didn't have the Comics Code Authority to it, but it just has some fun stuff because the first story is almost like a prophecy. They are forcing animals to wear pants, and so Howard must find pants to wear. And the person making the pants is. Their name rhymes with Disney, so it's even funny.
Nice.
And the whole purpose of this was the villain used to make suits for everyone, and as people don't wear as many suits, he needs to find someone to wear suits. So he petitioned for pants for animals, and that is what is happening in this issue.
You're saying the clothing industry is lobbying the government to change the law to benefit their business?
Yes.
What? That's fucked up. That doesn't happen in real life.
Did any of you guys ever watch the Looney Tunes show they had in Cartoon Network, where basically they made it like all the Looney Tunes characters had real lives?
A little bit.
Oh, if you have that might be my recommendation for later. But if you haven't, they may actually. There's an ongoing joke about Porky in that series because he doesn't wear pants either, and so he almost gets in trouble with the cops.
Oh, okay. I think I see clips of that.
Nice.
And
where did you find those, Clay, or do you just own them in print?
It's the Howard the Duck Omnibus 2 has all the magazines. Well, actually, it has 2 through 8. You have to buy the first Omnibus to get the first book, the first magazine.
I think I own the first Omnibus, but not the second one.
Yeah, the first one collects all 1 through 31.
Okay.
I think Giant Size Man Thing 4, his first appearance, and then one magazine issue, and that's it.
I'm sorry. I still can't figure out how they got Giant Size Man Thing past the comics code. I mean,
hey now. And because I'm the representative for white people right now, I watched the Friends reunion, and white people love Friends. I was real excited. I enjoyed it. I'm just trying to explain to these kids here that there was a time where we didn't have all the special streaming services. We didn't have
they're all white
HBO programming. And so as a nation, we watched shows, and we watched the finale of this. 51 million people watched the end of Friends. And so I know it hasn't aged great, but it's just nice to have that little bit of nostalgia of a time where, I don't know, the world wasn't on fire. Didn't feel like everything was on your back.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was just simpler, so it's kind of nice to kind of put those old comfortable shoes on, and it was just nice seeing everyone, and it was very positive.
How long was it?
Fun show.
Like 2 hours almost.
Oh damn.
Yeah, because I thought it was like an hour. It just went by really fast.
Didn't they have a guest star appearance by Tom Selleck in there?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of bring back a lot of people that I was like, because they bring Tom Lennon back because he was like a hand model with Joey. It was a whole storyline. But
really? That was Thomas Lennon?
Yeah, like he shows up for a second and they just kind of shoo him away. And I was like, oh, it'd be great for him to visit.
Now, I know one person they can bring back. Because I know in the early series, they had the dad the actor who played the dad on Alf as a character in the coffee shop, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah, not to bring it up, but he passed away a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, that's right. I was going to say, I thought
he
was in jail.
One of the complaints I did see is that they did bring a lot of people back, a lot of white people. They didn't bring back a lot of their,
Aisha
people,
Tyler.
I think Aisha Tyler should have hosted the thing instead of James Corden.
That's a really good. Yeah, that's a really good.
She's an amazing host. She was a big part of Friends in that season that she was in.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
I just want to let everyone know I've also reported James Corden to ICE. I just want him out of this country and stop making programming. I cannot stand him.
No, I agree.
I want him. Can we trade him for anything from England?
You're not a fan of those Peter Rabbit films?
He is, before he became super famous in the States, he is in one of the better, more recent Doctor Who episodes, I will say.
I liked Gavin and Stacey, and that's all I'll give him.
I didn't know he was in Gavin and Stacey. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's like the funny fat sidekick. Yeah, he's the Nick Frost without the humor.
Okay, so I'm thinking the wrong person. Not that I think I'm not a big fan of it, but what's your big beef with James Corden? I never heard it like he was like that bad of a person.
He embraced the Trump organization and Sean Spicer when Sean Spicer left and he wanted to get into entertainment. You can Google and find a picture of James Corden kissing Sean Spicer.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Like just we're gonna embrace and normalize all this shit they put us through.
Because I've heard I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy from the British Office, who's really famous now. He's supposed to be a piece of
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. I heard he's a piece of garbage.
He's set in his ways and he just kind of tells everyone how it is because he's got money.
Yeah.
But other than him, I enjoyed the Friends reunion. I'm a huge Matthew Perry fan. Everything he does, I've watched. I will cop out. I didn't watch the Odd Couple he did with Tom.
You missed out on that one.
Well, what was that? 3 or 4 years? How long?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't the original, but I mean, for what they were trying, I thought him and Tom Lennon actually made a good kind of Oscar and Felix kind of combo.
Yeah, I think Tom Lennon's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He's really funny.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I like the show too. I think it just confirmed 2 things that I like. Matt LeBlanc was always kind of my favorite, and you could just tell as a person he's also that same way.
Yeah.
He was really funny. He was very personable.
I watch him in A Man Has a Plan, which actually isn't too bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't address the Joey spinoff. I mean, it was kind of a mess, but
I thought they made like one kind of joke about it because they were all going. So what would your character be doing now? Since they said they never wanted to come back. Yeah, he made
a joke about it, saying that he'd probably selling tacos in Venice because he did move to California.
Yeah.
I think Lisa Kudrow she's also my favorite. I think.
Oh yeah,
she's great.
I was in love with Lisa Kudrow. I just loved the Phoebe character. I loved how weird she was and different. And now that I know that I've found my weird, I found my Phoebe.
Did they even talk about the what's the connection to Mad About You?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Did they? Oh, that's nice. Yeah. The crossover.
Yeah, because it talk about how they cast every one of them, and part of it was she was already Ursula, who's a waitress in Mad About You, who ended up being a character also in Friends. But yeah, I remember I love sitcoms, so I used to watch this. I used to watch Friends like at least the last few seasons as they aired. I'm not like a big rewatch it all the time, but yeah, it was fun for the time.
Yeah, I mean it's a time capsule. If you revisit it, it's taking you back to a different time, and it's fun. Some of the jokes haven't aged as well. Kathleen Turner playing a trans mom is not, wouldn't be accepted nowadays, and wouldn't be done for fun and laughs.
But some of those remain classics, like Pivot.
Could I be wearing more clothes? Going commando.
Going commando, yeah.
The fashion show was a lot of fun too. You have Cara Delevingne modeling outfits for the show. Also, what's her name?
They got Suicide Squad's sorceress to come or enchantress to come out in costume.
Who was the other model? I forget her. Oh, Cindy Crawford, who's ageless. She stopped aging a long time ago.
It's like she just came out of House of Style. I mean, she still looks like she's living in the 90s.
Jesus.
Well, it's like Dorian Gray. She's got a painting of herself in the attic, slowly growing older. So
something, and then
it's a Pepsi commercial.
Justin Bieber dressed as a potato.
That was pretty good. And then Kara even put on the holiday armadillo costume, which was hilarious. So I love the fan dedication. I love those kinds of moments when the fans get to participate.
Yeah, if you have HBO Max, you could probably there's worse things to watch than spend 2 hours in watching the Friends reunion.
I'm feeling called out here for seeing that Doc Savage movie, but go on.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've been up to.
Cool.
Representing white people and watching Friends.
Whew, yeah, they need it. They need it at this time.
Oh my
god. So as far as what I've been doing, I did read comics and I made some review videos, so I won't go too much into it. But I read the Blue Flame from Vault, which is they're diving into superhero comics written by Chris Canwell, who's currently doing Iron Man, and he also did the Doctor Doom series for Marvel. I read Mr. Miracle. What's it called? Mr. Miracle.
I was gonna say the new
one. Yeah, the new
book.
It's really good. It's a new. There's so many. It's not scot-free under the mask, which I wanted to see how we got there because I didn't. His stories in the future state is not something I read because they were like part of another book, like in the back. But it's really good too. And then my favorite one this week was Reptile #1. This kid turns into dinosaurs.
Oh, I read that too, but
super rad.
I'll let you have this one.
Yeah. He moves to LA. The Kamala law is in place right now where teenagers can't be superheroes because of the events of Outlawed. So they can only be superheroes with there's a whole bunch of requirements now. So he's just like, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. But obviously trouble comes looking his way. So I made review videos for all those three. The Blue Flame actually goes up later today. I hadn't put it up. And The Last Ronin #3, the Ninja Turtles book.
Yeah, I heard about what happened there. I'm
really enjoying that series. It really feels like they're having fun with it. It's in the future. It doesn't have anything to do with the current continuity. It's just what if this happened?
course, because we have the Turtleverse.
Yeah, and it's really good. We already talked about MODOK. I want to touch real quick. This is my sneaky way of putting this in here, because we watched the Eternals trailer.
Yeah,
I really, really liked it. Like, I love the look of the movie. I'm not fully sold on the Eternals yet, because I've never read anything that, and this is something I kind of came across. Like, other than the Neil Gaiman book, everybody says go read the Jack Kirby stuff, but nobody's read it.
yeah. Nobody's read it. Everyone says to.
Yeah, everyone says, "Oh, you should read the Kirby stuff." Like, well, did you read it? Like, no, it's too old. But
Well, that was
but
the
yeah.
other criticism I saw, that people were saying, they didn't use the Jack Kirby style in the Eternals movie, and I'm like, it was used in Thor a lot better than I feel like it would have been in here, just because of the. It looked like all the Eternals were really the colorful part of it, and making the ship black and everything else black made them pop. So maybe there's a color scheme that's happening that we're not going to see until we see the film.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao's cinematography is a lot more muted than anything Kirby would have put on a page.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, she just won an Oscar, so I'll, whatever. I'm gonna watch the movie.
Yeah.
But the cast looks cool. One thing, when I did the reaction video, I didn't realize. So Kit Harington and then the other guy from Game of Thrones, they look so much alike. I didn't realize Kit Harington was in the trailer. I even called it out.
We get this all the time. Don't say all white people look the same. I need to change my title back.
All Game of Thrones actors look the same. So yeah, because I even called it out. I was like, oh, they didn't show anything about Black Knight. But they did. So this is my mea culpa of that. Sorry about that, Mr. Harrington. Come on our show. I'll apologize in person, and then we'll talk about Game of Thrones and Eternals.
I was going to say, because I actually have a mea culpa for Jim Belushi. I will name 2 things he's done well. He was in Thief, and he was in Wild Palms. Very good in both.
Actually, my first initiation to him was Canine, which I thought I liked back in the 80s.
Oh,
that sounds like a movie about a cop dog.
It is.
It is.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's a very simple time.
That's when I first learned who he was.
Lastly, I won't go into any spoilers, but Superman and Lois, holy shit, this show's so good.
Oh my god!
I'm
yes,
behind.
yes. The what we find out about
the latest episode. Oh my god. Yeah, I love it. I love the stuff with the kids. I love the stuff with Superman. I love the stuff with the antagonist. The weakest part of the show is kind of Maxwell Lord, and I feel like they're saving that. They're saving that, I feel, for the latter half of the season. Yeah, so it's really good.
No, did you guys hear the news about? Oh, this just pissing me off. Okay, so I always forget his name, Diggle. I always forget the actor's name, but he basically said he's going to be making appearances into the shows, but he didn't take the ring. He gave it up, and him basically being in all the different shows is going to be kind of explaining why he gave it up.
Oh,
really?
David Ramsey. The last thing I'll plug. Yeah, because I'm getting a cut out of all these shows. Law and Order: Organized Crime is also very good.
It's interesting.
We got the season finales coming up next week. It's not your typical Law and Order show. It's not episodic.
Is it supposed to get a second season? But it's only getting 7 episodes.
I don't know. I mean, if they can come up with more story, I love seeing
Maloney.
Chris Maloney on screen. Just even just shots of him working out in his apartment as he gets ready to go kick ass.
Daniel, something you want to tell us about?
I love Christopher Maloney. He's a dope dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, no argument.
But yeah, it's cool. The whole story is really good. It ties into I think that's what they're gonna wrap up all the strings that they have left over with the SVU. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I've been watching and doing and stuff.
I'm gonna throw one out real quick just because we're waiting on Josh. I still watch NCIS, and Clay will know who I'm talking about here, but they've actually as Gibbs' potential new love interest, they've had Pam Dubar guest starring.
Pamela DeBar?
Yeah. That's his wife in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, and also she also played Mindy in Mork and Mindy.
Oh shit! I haven't seen her in forever. What does she look like now?
Just kind of age her. I mean, like an older Pamela Jabbar. I like picture her with Mark Harmon back in the 80s and just kind of around the same age. She's got a little bit of gray hair. I mean, still looks decent. I mean, probably in her late 60s, early 70s with gray hair. But I mean, it's interesting to see how she bring his real life. She's playing a reporter who's trying to who basically thinks that her friend that was killed they didn't get the right killer, so she's going to give. She's been suspended, and trying to use him to try to find out what happened to her friend. And so it's just interesting to see real life wife and husband act on screen.
I saw a thing the other day about the final episode of Mork and Mindy aired this day so many years ago, and I was like, that show only ran for 4 years. I thought it was so much longer. It didn't even make it to syndication. It only got 92 episodes.
Well, that would be syndication now, since syndication is supposed to be 65.
It used to be 100.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you had to get to 100 to be syndicated.
That's why they brought what's his name in as Mork and Mindy's son. They thought that might help gather.
Jonathan Winters.
Yeah, that might bring in ratings. It did.
And now hold on, let's explain Jonathan Winters to Daniel. Because he has no idea who Jonathan Winters is.
I checked out as soon as I heard Pam's name. I was like, all right, these guys are having a conversation. I'll let them have it.
Jonathan Winters is one of the funniest men I've ever seen. He could just improv, do characters, do voices.
He can jump into any character just the snap of a finger, like almost better than anybody else I can think of.
Yeah, that's one comedian I just feel like people may be missing out on with him not around, not having stuff that's on TV running all the time, because his any TV appearance or anything he did was always hilarious.
The only other person I know that can do I'd say character kind of changes like that might have been Robin Williams. At least I can think of off top hand right now.
And that's why that last season worked.
Okay, yeah, I'm in.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So the two of those putting together, yeah.
That's how they had a kid.
Yep. So
it was born in an egg, and they age backwards. So he is a baby.
Yep. Yeah. So Mork coming from Orc. They reproduce by laying eggs, and apparently I think it was in season 1 or 2. They actually have a supervisor who's supposed to come trying to figure out if Mork's doing a good job on Earth, and it's a 12-year-old boy. So he realized that he's older than Mork, who's a full-grown man.
Okay, that's good. If you're willing to go inside of an egg for the baby.
Now take a guess. I want to quiz him one more time. Take a guess at what show Mork was spinned off. That
one's Happy Days, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
I knew that. Right. No, I've seen
such a weird spinoff.
Yeah,
too. We're spin off an alien show into the 80s from a 1950s show.
Hold on, there were 2 other shows that spun off of Happy Days. You know what they were?
Oh,
Vern and Shirley and Joni Loves Chachi.
Here you go. All right.
Oh, Joni Loves Chachi. Yeah. That's a dodgeball reference.
Yeah.
Well, what was funny is in the Friends premiere, that's what Rachel sits down and watches. She watches Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah, that's right. Did the Fonz ever show up in? Did the Fonz ever show up in Mindy and Mork or any other spin-offs?
No, because it was basically Mork was sent back to Earth first, but in the 1950s, that's where he first meets Fonz, and then it spins off where he goes back to Earth in the 1980s or 1980, and that's where he ends up renting a room from Mindy, and they eventually, they end up getting together. So
get some kudos there.
Yeah. And then also it spun the Fonz may not have been in Mork and Mindy, but he did get his own 2 different series from Hanna-Barbera. They had the Fonz and Gang in Time, which is I could make a whole episode on that alone. And then the Fonz in the Army, which was a combination of Fonz and Laverne and Shirley in the Army and Mork and Mindy animated series, which basically deals with Mork coming to Earth, renting a room with Mindy, and then going to school at the local university.
And that's where the term "jumping the shark" comes from too.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Exactly.
So there we go. I tell you, man, I love sitcoms. I know some stuff. Well, Josh is taking too long, so we're just gonna jump into our main. First of all, hey Adrian, good to see you. We love to see you in the chat. Yeah,
you can't jump on the screen. I see how it is.
Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying all the dumb shit we're talking about all the time. And we can't wait to talk dumb shit with you.
Yes.
But actually, this is for Adrian.
Really, I never. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
That feels like something Adrian would do. Not shoot a guy, but
I don't know. Given the right fuel, he might.
Like if he shot anybody, it'd be Kyle.
I feel like this is for Kyle. This is for Kyle for sure. Kyle's going out the window. Well, yeah, with that transition, we are.
You finally watched Pulp Fiction, and
Yes.
let's hear it. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's what
Wait, did he?
You could see that Pierre did truly love the mademoiselle.
Man, this movie was so good.
Yes.
So there's some stuff with it that I'm like, okay, well, this was obviously made in the 90s.
Well, yeah.
And Quentin Tarantino has his things about dialogue, and
Yeah.
I guess for authenticity's sake, yeah. But with that, like that's probably the only the biggest criticism that I could give it, that some stuff hasn't aged well, just because, man, dude loves dropping in those racial slurs everywhere.
Oh yeah, very very regularly.
So that one, the thing that gets me with those things with him is when he writes them for white people or for himself, even for that, but yeah. But other than that, man, Pulp Fiction, holy shit.
Which
really
story
good.
did you like the best?
I think the last one. Well, I don't know. It's hard because it's kind of like the first and the last one are the same story, kind of. Yeah, it's weird. I love the storytelling device of breaking it up into 3 stories, or 4 if you count the little prologue at the beginning.
Yeah.
The second one was just weird. So we can go in parts if y'all want to talk about the first one. And most of the clips I pulled are from that first story, so I think that might be my favorite. Because Sam Jackson is a fucking gem.
Yes.
Oh yeah. This, if memory serves, this is the movie that really nailed his career, right?
Probably.
Because this was Travolta's return to the
Yeah.
mainstream.
Mhm.
But man, Sam Jackson is just.
Oh, wait.
And I got a
I
question
thought
for
the
the panel.
Look You're Talking films were his return to the mainstream.
That's for Bruce Willis.
The
That's
Look
for
You're
Bruce
Talking
Willis.
films? I thought that was Travolta's return to the mainstream.
Oh yeah.
That relaunched him and Bruce Willis's career.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
First of all, I want to ask: did he get an Oscar for this?
This is a tasty burger.
That whole scene at the apartment. First of all, I love seeing what's his name, Marvin in the back.
Green
Hermes.
Lantern.
No,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
We name all the characters he voices except him.
Phil Lamar.
Thank
Phil
you.
Lamar.
Phil Lamar from Mad TV.
Yes.
I love seeing Phil Lamar in the background just cowering. These 2 dudes show up, and one thing I wanted to talk about, especially with Josh, Quentin Tarantino's dialogue is so self-indulgent.
Yes.
You think?
Because they're walking and they're talking, they're driving. All the dialogue's pretty entertaining. And then I was like, I remember when we were talking about the Snyder Cut and self-indulgent directors. That was
come
not
on
as,
now.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm just saying these dudes have a vision for what they want to do. And yeah, sometimes their indulgences are not as fun for everyone. Obviously, people love Quentin Tarantino's dialogue more than they love all the big slow-mo, Icelandic ladies songs that
Okay, wait, hang on. Can I just
Go ahead.
Okay. I feel like there is self-indulgence and then there's style.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of what Tarantino does with his dialogue is style. And I will specify that by saying style is a choice, self-indulgence is what you do because you like it, right? And and what I feel like with Tarantino is his early films stylistically have a lot of dialogue, a lot of back and forth. That was his thing, right? You watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that is not as key a feature in it at all. There are long passages of that movie without dialogue, or that kind of back and forth, that banter, right? And so I feel like Tarantino understands how his style needs to evolve to fit the film he's making. Snyder puts fucking slow-mo in everything. It just, I mean, so to me, Snyder's self-indulgent.
This is why he's a horrible director.
Well,
sorry, Daniel. I see your point. I totally see your point, because there are moments where, like I love the moment in the beginning where they show up, they walk up to the door, and he asks him what time it is, right? And and he's like, we're still too early. Let's go over here.
That's where it clicked in my head. I was like, why is this scene being extended longer? Because they go talk about the burger again.
Yeah.
Well, and the foot rub, right?
Oh yeah, the foot massage. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I think
the second best speech in all of his films is the foot rub speech.
But I think that extension of the scene is important and not just self-indulgent. Again, I'll go to bat here for Tarantino, because what it does is it shows them further being themselves. Because what does Jules say as soon as they're done with that? He's like, okay, let's go get in character, right? So it's extending that scene so that then when they walk into the room, what are they doing? They're playing their characters, right? Yeah. Jules is the one who's disconcerting and kind of controlling things, which is funny because he's got that speech later on about the wolf, about how the wolf is always in control, and that's what Jules does. He does it every scene that he's in like that. But then where is Vincent? He's just in the background, just like stoner guy, just like doing his thing, you know. So anyway, sorry, go on.
And I will say, I will give your statement of Quentin Tarantino's one self-indulgence is his foot fetish. He puts women's feet in every film, and in Till Dusk Till Dawn, he sucked on. I don't know if it is.
That wasn't his film. That was Rodriguez. He wrote it.
Yeah, but he helped write and direct it with him. Selma Hayek's toes. In that one scene, that's a little self-indulgent.
Back to that the apartment scene and a lot of scenes. I like the way Tarantino, like, there's a lot going on in the background of his shots, and there's a lot going on in the front, but like you have to pay attention to both. Like, I think that's something that makes especially this movie probably rewatchable, and especially getting to the end and knowing how it all, because I did put it together. Like, as soon as they said let's go get breakfast, I knew it was gonna loop back to the beginning of to when we meet Bunny and what's his name, and what does he call him?
Oh, Honey Bunny
and Pumpkin.
But he calls him Ringo, which I love.
I was gonna ask you that actually, Daniel, because I was curious if in rewatching it, I knew they would circle back at the end, but I wondered how surprising that may have been, because you get like 2 hours of film before they get back to the thing. So
no, I thought it was great. I felt like I was like, oh, that's like you. It kind of shows you that he doesn't put anything in the movie that has no purpose. You set that prologue up because that's where we're gonna end the movie, which I should have known. I mean, he does that stuff like. You know, the Tarantino is you start with the end and work your way backwards.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can we talk about the Bruce Willis segment?
Yeah, because that's kind of, it feels like its own standalone thing.
Yeah, I remember being in the theater and watching when he gets to Butch and his character arc, and the moment that he starts to leave the pawn shop and he gets to the door and stops. I have never yelled at a screen, but when he starts to go back in that room, that was when real terror started to set in. I remember watching that and going, I don't know if I want to see what's happening in this room. Yeah. I don't know if I want to see maybe it's best to just maybe not see it. And having that feeling in a movie, I was like, oh, it just gave me chills that he was scaring the shit out of me in this crime story.
I will tell you also the thing I love about that story is how much it plays with unexpected moments of comedy, right? Christopher Walken telling the whole heartfelt story about the watch, and then you find out where they kept it for 5 years is I think I laughed out loud in the theater when that happened. And I don't think this gets nearly enough credit. Exactly the scene you're talking about, Clay. When he comes back in, there is a long sequence of him just finding the perfect weapon to go downstairs with, right? So it escalates. He starts with the hammer, right? Yeah, there we go. He starts with the hammer. And something I never noticed before is when he's holding the hammer, he flips it around. So the pointed end is first, he's like, this will be good, right? And then he finds the bat. And then he picks up the chainsaw. And at that point is when I started laughing. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're not going to go downstairs with the chainsaw. And then he sees the sword. And it just, that whole sequence, to me, actually limits a little bit the terror I felt when he goes back downstairs because he's finding the perfect weapon, right? It's like he's stealing himself by finding that weapon. So
I got to say.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say when that's happening, you hear all the commotion in the background. It was the last thing in my mind that was happening. Like what happened was happening. I didn't think that's where it was going.
Oh, really?
In hindsight, I should have known. with the gimp, but
the gimp, the ball gags. I mean,
I think people still quote the line, "I'm gonna get medieval on his ass."
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's how strong that scene is. Is there's people still quote that line from that movie?
Oh, Ving
decades
Rhames,
later.
dude. Ving Rhames, like,
and something. There were so many little nuances that I didn't pick up on the first few times I've watched this movie until this time, and that is the fact that you don't get a clear shot of Ving Rhames' face until he's in the basement. You kind of, no, I take that back. After he gets hit by the car, you see him. But until that moment, like, you never see him up close. You see the back of his head. You see him from the front from far away.
Make sure you see the Band-Aid covering the back of his neck.
Yeah. Right. That's critical. Yeah.
He's so good. It's just his cadence as he explains stuff and the way he works with people. Like, he takes control of the situation when he's talking to Butch, when Butch comes to see him in the bar. But when Butch releases him and he's about to go medieval on him, he's still very controlled. And his cadence is still there. There's no super anger. He's not, he's going to take his time and tear this man apart.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to the Gimp.
The Gimp?
Oh,
well, because the Gimp just got knocked out. I don't know what
I thought he hung himself. Is that not what happened?
Well, because when
he gets punched and
then Bruce Willis knocks him out.
Right, but isn't he basically attached by his throat? I thought he had like a
maybe
leash.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's a leash or if it's just tied to the back of the suit to keep him like a dog on a chain.
I see.
Only can going so far.
Well, if you're watching this later or now, let us know what happened to the Gimp.
So there's
to be his last film. It's just Quentin Tarantino tells you the end of the Gimp.
Gimp Watch 2021. The Gimp comes back to take revenge on everyone.
Oh God!
It's Kill Butch parts 1 and 2. But there is also a really interesting kind of acting moment I never picked up on before, which is exactly the scene you guys are talking about when Ving Rhames is describing how he's going to go medieval on Zed's ass, right? If you watch Bruce Willis behind him, and again, it's a wonderfully drawn out scene where Bruce Willis is just trying to figure out, are you okay? Are we okay? Right? Can I get on with my life now?
Right.
If you watch his movements, they perfectly mimic Ving Rhames' movements, right? So as Ving Rhames like kind of puts his arm down, Bruce Willis puts his arm down, right? He's holding that sword thinking if he turns on me, I need to be able to defend myself. But as Ving Rhames relaxes, he relaxes. It's a really subtle thing, but it works in the tension of the moment really, really well.
Yeah, and that tension's really strong because as you're screaming for him to not go back in that room, freeing one guy that's going to kill you or was going to kill you before just seems like the worst idea ever. So but leaving that man was the worst.
Bruce Willis was supposed to throw the fight.
Yes.
Yeah. And he didn't, right? That's what.
And he got paid by Marcellus Wallace to throw the fight. And then I got the impression he then took that money and bet on winning the fight. Yeah. Okay.
I want to talk on that. Like, this is not just in the acting. This is how it was shot. But there's this whole scene where he's in the hotel room with his girlfriend, asking, "Did you get the watch?" He realizes she didn't grab the watch. He takes the car, parks away from the apartment, but then it's just one long shot. No cut. It's just he gets out, starts walking through the apartment complex, gets to the apartment. It's just all one long shot of the camera movement of him just getting there. And it's like he really thought about the way he shot this film. It wasn't just like about dialogue. It was also like shooting techniques too.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Kyle, because the moment that stood out to me is when Bruce Willis walks through that gap in the fence. The camera follows him, and I'm like, how the hell did they do that?
Exactly.
Like, it is not a wide gap. I could not figure out. It's some amazing Steadicam work is all I can think of.
They didn't have GoPros back then that could just go through.
No, they didn't. I mean, you have to imagine it was a cameraman with a Steadicam rig walking through that gap in the fence. Like, I can't figure out how they did it.
And this is I look back because we're going to talk a little bit more about his other movies. So this was his second film that he directed after Reservoir Dogs. Just I guess the growth as a director, I don't know. I mean, talent just probably sometimes just does a lot, even if it's your second time doing something. And his vision, even the scene where Bruce Willis is berating his girlfriend because she forgot the watch, which was really funny how that kind of ends up paying off later, because you don't know what the timeline is between all these movies until later, right? Or until with these stories, but then how he kind of collects himself and realizes like, well, I fucked up because I should have taken care of it. I shouldn't be upset because so, and then he sends her to go get food, which there's so much food in this movie, which I love.
I will be absolutely honest with you. I had eaten dinner already and then started watching this, and I had to go get food. Like, I was like, God damn, I need a hamburger.
I want to try a $5 milkshake.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want some pancakes. I'm good with the buttermilk, even if they don't have the blueberry ones.
Well, so and with Butch's reaction, like on one hand, I got when I was younger and I saw the scene where he gets angry at his girlfriend, I liked it because he doesn't, like, he throws a TV. He's really pissed off, but he doesn't hurt her. But in rewatching, I'm like, that's shitty. He's acting out. That's not good. But then I love how it comes back around at the very end of that story when he shows up with the motorcycle. Yeah. And she comes down and he's clearly hurt. His nose is broken. Yeah. He has her car is gone. And she's just standing there. She starts to cry, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. How are you? How was your morning? How are the pancakes?" And it reminded me of Bruce Willis invoking that scene in Star Wars where Han Solo's trying to calm down the people on the microphone. And he's like, "How are you?"
Wait, what? Bruce Willis in Star Wars?
No. Harrison Ford.
Like invoking that kind of.
Oh, my bad.
Scene.
Okay. I was like, wait, what? What movie are you
on? Lord Vader, boom.
Yeah. Oh man! All right, so I have a question about, I think, the critical moment of the Butch story that ties into everything else, and it's something that I don't think ever really coalesced till I watched it this time.
I'm so sorry. One thing, I guess we should have said this earlier.
Spoilers. Exactly.
It's past 20 years. I think we're good.
So.
We'll see in the comments.
Is the idea that Vincent dies because Jules gives up the life, and therefore Vincent has to go alone to Butch's apartment, right? and gets shot.
Yeah.
But the thing that always confused me was how far away has Bruce Willis driven when he runs into Marcellus Wallace? Because I was wondering if he hasn't gotten very far and Marcellus had actually gone to the apartment with Vincent and left to go get them coffee and donuts, and right, and is bringing it back when Bruce Willis stops his car and then hits him with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
know.
think about that.
I don't know.
I mean, I did after the movie. I watched a few like explainer videos and things you missed and stuff because I wanted to like just go into that. They do talk about the decision of Jules leaving and kind of maybe believing in the miracle or whatever you want to call it, whereas Vincent is the non-believer and he sticks to the life, even though a miracle kind of happens to him in the first story where Uma Thurman doesn't die.
Yeah, that was great.
So that's whenever we first talked, because we talked when we did the trailer yesterday. I watched this movie in two parts. I watched that first story and then I stopped. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, they're gonna kill Uma Thurman. Like I thought she was gonna die. Because you see and then I think one of the videos said like the only reason he had the heroin in his pocket was because the other guy ran out of bags. The guy that he goes to see afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Eric
never
Stoltz.
even thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz, which, like possible Marty in some other alternate universe.
So you mean in another universe we're watching Michael J. Fox in Pulp Fiction?
Yeah. Well, so another thing they mentioned was that Tarantino originally was going to be Jules' character, but he wanted to direct, not Jules, sorry, the Eric Stoltz character.
Vincent. The Eric Stoltz. Okay.
Character. But he wanted to be behind the camera for that shot of Uma Thurman getting back to life with the needle. So then he cast himself as Jimmy instead. Which Jimmy was a fun character. Like he's just this suburban dude that like stuff's happening to him. He just happens to know Jules.
Yeah. Speaking of background details, again, I was much more attuned to it this time. Did anyone notice the specific board games on Eric Stoltz's coffee table as they're about to do it? It's Operation and Life.
Of course.
Oh, nice.
So if you think about what they're about to do, right? It's
the other thing in the background that I noticed during those scenes, I just watch. Is it Rosanna Arquette? The one she's got all the piercings because she is so excited to watch the adrenaline shot get slammed in the chest. So if you just watch her, she's just like getting all happy and about to see this needle just get jammed into a chest, and she's like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
Well,
one of the reasons this movie will end up where I put it on my ranking is because I think it's very rewatchable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, and it's funny you say that, Clay, because the actress from The Commitments never moves from that couch. She's on that couch in every scene in Eric Stoltz's house. So,
but where does this rank? I mean, for like, I've seen all the Quentin Tarantino films.
See, I can't say that.
I'm just curious. And like Daniel's seeing this later, where is this something that you would put in a top 10 list? Is Pulp Fiction
a top 10 of what, his films or of all films?
No, of all films. Like I'm just but like
totally.
Man, I don't know. That's a tough question because there's a lot of things happening. There's recency bias because I just watched the movie, right? Then I
like that term.
I can't even. I've never been able to put together a top 10 list for me. I have the top 4 kind of, but that's about it. That's as far as I can venture out and safely say like those are my 4 favorite movies.
I've been able to do 3 of what I think would be the top 10 best films of all time, and that would be Pulp Fiction's in there. And this isn't any particular order, but it's Pulp Fiction, the first Jurassic Park, and the original Jaws.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. So 2 Spielbergs and a Tarantino. Yeah, okay.
It's not a bad.
This is like of all, not necessarily my favorites, but what I think are the like top 10 films of all time.
Yeah. See, I put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood above Pulp Fiction, but that's like the number one Tarantino film for me. I put that on all the time. Music, setting, everything about that film, I could watch at any time. Pulp Fiction, if the story's starting, I'm in. So it's always nice to find if it's playing somewhere just to start it at the story. But
so speaking of soundtracks, this is something that stood out to me as important and unique as this soundtrack is and definitely was when it came out, right? You didn't have very many movies with surf guitar in it in the opening scene. It never really dawned on me how very obvious song choices are in this movie, right? So you've got, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, when she's clearly about to have sex with Vincent. I think the most painful one, did anyone notice the song that's playing on Butch's car after he leaves his apartment?
I'm not sure if I did.
I don't know the song name, but
I saw it in the captions, but I didn't know what the song meant. I didn't know what the song.
It's not even really what the song is about. It's that it has the word kangaroo in it. And he keeps singing the word kangaroo. What was his watch on? The kangaroo. He says it like 4 times before the scene. So this time when it was playing, I'm like, oh, that's just too obvious. It's like, we need a song with the word kangaroo in it. Let's throw that in here, So.
But that during the 90s, that you had a lot of movies that were doing soundtracks at the time. Yeah. And so it was a big thing, but he was doing it on a different level because it was so integrated as part of the film.
Yeah.
Well, and this is part of that period. The Clerks soundtrack did this too, where dialogue from the film was incorporated into the soundtrack. Yeah. So if you go back and you play the soundtrack to this or Clerks, you get interstitial moments. That's just dialogue from the film because it was so unique. It was so it stood out, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's also nice to finally know where this comes from.
Oh wow!
Oh my God! Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm glad you saw Pulp Fiction to get a Looney Tunes reference.
Well,
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I had the thought because we just rewatched it. My daughter and I rewatched it's like 32 Stories of Springfield episode.
Yeah.
Where they recreate the Butch scene. And I was watching it and I looked at my wife and I said, when she's old enough, we've got to watch Pulp Fiction so she can get all these references because that entire sequence makes no sense unless you've seen Pulp Fiction.
That was part of my argument as to why I hadn't watched the movie.
Right.
In 1992, I was like, I don't know, 8 years old, 9 years old. Like, there's a reason I didn't watch
Cue the Die Hard scene. I was in junior high, dickhead.
One thing I want to talk about too is, like I mentioned, I do want to move on to another highlight, but Sam Jackson obviously is amazing.
Yeah.
But right here.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Don't worry, I censored it for the kids. But the way that this passage changes when he repeats it at the end, and how he finds new meaning on it, I think that's Jules had the best art of everyone.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it makes sense because I feel like he makes the right choices. He's always calm, cool, collected, which leads me to another one of my fucking favorite moments when they call the wolf. Oh, and that's why I put my name as Daniel the Wolf, because Harvey Keitel is a goddamn national treasure. Holy shit! I didn't know what was gonna happen when I saw him come in and pick up the phone. I immediately recognized who he was because I knew he was in the credits. They show him in the credits at the beginning, and I was like, "Oh, here he comes!" Like he's, he's the fix-it dude. Like he's the one dude that can get him out of this one jam. So,
what is going on at his house at 8 a.m? That is that fancy? I stopped the movie and I'm like, what the hell is going on there? Is that like some fancy brunch? Like what is up?
I don't know. You tell me, what do white people do in the morning?
Not that.
How about rep for white people? Tell us the answer here.
We read the Twitters, the Reddits. We get some coffee, try to figure out the day in the life.
Well, I like the coffee, like all the coffee stuff. Like, it's gourmet coffee. I made it. I bought it. Don't tell me what I like. I know my coffee is good, you piece of shit.
When Bonnie goes to the store, she buys shit. I buy the good stuff. Tarantino almost ruins that story for me. I've never cared for him as an actor. I just don't.
Yeah.
And when you for God's sakes, when you put him into a scene with Harvey Keitel, Sam Jackson, and John Travolta, he will inevitably be the weakest link, right, of that scene. So
yeah, that was a big complaint I saw online when I was doing some research. Just like, well, I guess not a complaint, but just people were saying like, and I think he kind of stopped casting himself in his movies more recently.
I will tell you where it does work. And it's probably because Robert Rodriguez was directing him, but Dusk Till Dawn, when he plays the evil brother, is so much better than anything he does on his own. It's just watching him be creepy and build to those moments that you don't see. That's the way it works, because he just has to play a creep and you'll follow him.
Yeah.
There is one other, sorry, didn't mean to derail that. One other Tarantino acting bit I do love. I forget the name of the movie, but it stars Eric Stoltz. And he literally has a walk-on scene where they're at a party, and his entire purpose is explaining how Top Gun is a movie about homosexual love. And I don't, but he's really great in that scne. Like,
what movie is this?
Yeah. I'll look it up. Hang on. It came out around the same time. It had to
now I'm more like, what's this next Top Gun gonna be about? I love these outfits that they get, because that's exactly that's what Jimmy would have in his closet for sure.
But did you notice this is the one, I'm bringing it back around to comics, what is on Jules' shirt? Anyone pick up on this?
U.S. Santa Cruz?
No,
Jules' shirt.
Sorry. I can't even see from that image.
Yeah, I can't see.
It's Crazy Cat and Ignatz Mouse.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And I spent most of the evening last night after watching the film trying to find a tortured way that is symbolic of something. I don't think it is, but
I think it's just like Jimmy's a nerd, big nerd.
Yeah. Because I was trying to see what was on the shirt he was wearing. It almost looks like a They Might Be Giants shirt, but I couldn't tell because he's wearing the robe the whole time. So,
oh yeah. Here's a better look at Jules' shirt.
Yep.
Yeah.
For all you nerds out there. Yeah, man. But I love that. How much of them being gangsters like does the suit make, right? Because they look like two schmoes right here with the clothes, and then even that's why at the restaurant, I think if they had been wearing the suits, I don't know that Pumpkin and Bunny would have been so casual or cavalier about holding up the joint. But through a series of events, like, because they look like two badasses when they're wearing the suits and the whole outfit. But right here, they're just two suburban dudes probably that are out for breakfast.
Carrying a freaking suitcase that is probably carrying like gold or something. That's not out of place whatsoever.
Well, he takes them and he dresses them down. He even takes them out into the backyard and makes them strip and just takes the hose to it. So they go from looking cool as hell at the beginning to those clothes that they end up inheriting.
And Vince was so confrontational. Jesus.
I know.
Now, do you know the relation between Vincent Vega in this and the Vega brother that is in Reservoir Dogs?
I don't. I've always wondered this because there is like a Tarantino verse, right?
There is the same universe.
They are brothers, and there's always been a rumor of a Vega brother movie being made where those two would be together, but I just don't know. The guy that plays the other brother, Michael.
Oh,
mess up his last name, Michael.
Oh, he's the main dude, right? With the
No, it's like Madsen.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah, Michael Madsen. Yeah, I just don't think he's been very stable to work with.
Well, and
they both age so much. How would they do it now?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd almost have to hire new actors.
We know Vincent
Marvel
doesn't make
CGI de-age him.
We know Vincent doesn't make it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. See, that's the thing. It would have to be a prequel, right?
God, I just can't think of any. You would have to cast some 20-something kids to redo a Vincent Vega or Vega brother story.
Like the Dumb and Dumber 2 treatment. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
It would, and I don't think it. I trust his faith in choosing actors, but I just don't see any kids who could play that. And I say kids as in 20-something actors who could play the Vega brothers.
That's something fun. Well, that's something that's curious about Tarantino. I don't think he's ever been interested in doing sequels for his stuff. I think, because Kill Bill is really one movie, right?
Yeah, right.
Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 is really one movie. But
isn't, and again, I'm embarrassed that I only really picked up on this now because I read about it years and years ago. But isn't Kill Bill basically it's the Fox Force 5 movie, right? Yeah. I mean, it's when she explains each of the other Fox Force 5, it is the characters that Uma Thurman kills in Kill Bill. I mean, so
now, and there has always been a rumor of a Volume 3 where the bride has to defend herself from Vivica Fox's daughter, who comes looking for revenge.
And the bride wasn't very funny, but I guess the joke that she ended up telling her was not funny either.
Oh, catch up,
right? Yeah. Catch up. Sorry, so I found that film. It's a 1994 film called Sleep With Me. It's your basic 90s rom-com with Eric Stoltz and Meg Tilly. But even in the description, it says there is a cameo by Tarantino where he explains the homoerotic undertones of Top Gun.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to watch it just to see that scene.
I'll just find the sequence for you. Hang on. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
But I'm curious, the rest of y'all's Quentin Tarantino knowledge and films.
Well, here, let me do this and we'll segue into that.
All right.
First, I did look at all the movies for Quentin Tarantino, and I got the budget and the Rotten Tomatoes. And then, because I'm a big old nerd, I made a chart.
Holy shit.
I love it. God damn, that's amazing, man.
These are the Rotten Tomatoes scores for all of Tarantino's movies. In order.
People don't like Grindhouse.
Oh, that's a bummer, man.
You know what?
I love that.
That's pretty low on my list, too. So I get it.
So the high points were Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and then it didn't pop back until Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, Jackie Brown was pretty high too. It was an 87, so it's only
Jackie Brown's good.
Pulp Fiction.
Jackie Brown is awesome. It is so underrated. It's just picked on because it's not his original material. But I love that fucking movie so much.
And let me throw some numbers at you before we move on. So the budget, I looked at the budget for the movies. So Reservoir Dogs was 2.5 million. Pulp Fiction was 8.5 million. Jackie Brown was 12 million. So like with every one of them, it goes up. Each of the Kill Bills were 30 each, so I put those together as one. Grindhouse was 30. Inglourious Bastards was 70 million. His most expensive movie was Django Unchained at 100 million.
Damn. Wow.
And then The Hateful Eight went back down to 60 million. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 95 million. And you know a lot of that went to the cast because, Brad Pitt and Leo.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Hateful Eight and Django Unchained, and they both have solid casts, and seems like they would have cost a lot of money too.
Hateful Eight was kind of like a bottle episode of a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
Django, for sure, there's big sets, there's big action scenes and stuff. But Hateful Eight, I can see why the budget was so low. And that's probably how he sold the movie. Like, I just need the money for the cast. Here's the story. Walton Goggins is in it, so and then like
Jennifer Jason Leigh, Sam Jackson, Kurt Russell.
I want to jump into this was rumor, but apparently a couple years ago there was talk about how Tarantino was interested in when they were trying to find a new director for the new Star Trek film, that he was interested in wanting to direct a Star Trek film. I'm thinking, I would love to see that. I'd like to see what Tarantino's take on a Star Trek film would be.
I feel like he would really westernize it.
He would come up with a derogatory term for Klingons.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can I just point out two quick things about this that I I don't think I'd ever noticed before.
Mhm.
Did anyone pick up on the weird minor celebrity cameos in this? Kathy Griffin is in it.
Is she?
Yes. After he gets hit by the car, she's in the crowd
Oh,
around Marcus. But here's the crazy thing. In the credits, she's listed as playing herself. It just says Kathy Griffin as herself, which is kind of what she does, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing is
that poor lady got shot for no reason. Because
yeah, I know she's just trying to help Butch. And then I had forgotten Julia Sweeney was in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's
friends with the wolf.
She's friends with the wolf. I guess she's going to own the junkyard at some point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It looks like they were more than friends.
Yeah. It was hinted at. You just don't know.
But who knows what the wolf situation is? I mean, he's got something going on in his house, or
again,
I kind of took it as
I would love to see the wolf again and just know what a day in the life of the wolf is.
That would be interesting. I kind of took it almost as more like a paternalistic relationship. Like he was like treating her almost like a daughter, but I could be wrong. So,
maybe. Okay, yeah. So we do. I have rankings for all the movies. I don't know if you so I could go over that, and then you guys can give me shit about them.
yeah.
So real quick, my favorite Tarantino 2 movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Django Unchained's number 2, Pulp Fiction's 3. I counted Kill Bill as 1. That's number 4. Inglourious Bastards is 5. The Hateful Eight is 6. Reservoir Dogs is 7. Grindhouse Death Proof is 8. And I haven't seen Jackie Brown, so I don't know where that lies.
Jackie Brown is so good.
For the few I've seen, it's just Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I would say for the few I've seen, it goes Pulp Fiction at the top, Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I need to revisit Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Before we give Clay his ranking, because I know he's seen more. How did I get so much shit about not watching Pulp Fiction? And then Josh and Kyle have only seen about half of Tarantino's movies.
Because those are Tarantino films. Pulp Fiction, in my opinion, isn't just a Tarantino film. It's a segment that defines, especially at that time period when the independent movie circuit was coming out. So it was a must-see. It wasn't just about being Tarantino. Nobody knew who the hell Tarantino was. It was like, oh, who is this Tarantino guy? This film was so spectacular, and everything was made by dialogue and the way it was shot and the actors and everything, who kind of relaunched, like Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta. It was a must-see. It's one of those, like, these are the films in history, like the top 10 films in history you have to watch, and that's where I put Pulp Fiction up there.
Yeah, it was being parodied everywhere. It became a norm to know what Pulp Fiction was and what it was about.
The other films are just they might be good films, but they're Tarantino films. It's after he got his, after doing that, he got a little bit of notoriety for Reservoir Dogs, did Pulp Fiction, shot him up, did Jackie Brown, did really good. Kill Bill really even gained more momentum, and after that, it was just they were Tarantino films. They weren't like these had to be. These are the greatest films of history.
Season one of Mad TV does one of the best Pulp Fiction parodies when they team Forrest Gump and do Gump Fiction. And early Mad TV was on point.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with Kyle. And I know I've told this story before, so please indulge me. But I think a good reflection of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Could you guys hear that? No.
Hear what?
Anyway. My headphones are just like, you need to recharge your headphones. Anyway, no, I think a great example of that is
the voices in my head are telling me that I
need to stop. You guys don't have those?
No.
The voices in your head tell you when to recharge things. I don't know what you're talking about.
The voices in my head tell me other things.
So when this movie came out, I remember like there was huge interest in seeing it. Like it was that like day of release go see.
Yes, when I was 5. Yes.
And so I was working at a comic store in San Antonio at the time, and the owner of it, Rick, it was the Thursday before the film opened, and he knew we all wanted to see it. And he had kind of he had gotten a partnership with a film distributor, so we would get like film posters. We got like the Clerks posters and stuff. And he called us all up and said, hey, I'm closing the store Thursday morning. I want all of you to meet me there at 9 a.m. And we're like, but why? He's like, just come do it. So we show up at 9 a.m. We're like, what's going on? Like, we figure like he's going to have us, do some sort of work in the store or something. He's like, all right, everyone get in the car. We're going here. We get to the theater. He had finagled for all of us to be able to go to the critics screening of Pulp Fiction.
Oh, wow.
So we're in San Antonio. We're like way across town. And in the front row are like 2 or 3 of the film critics for the newspapers, because we had 2 in essay at the time. And then all of us sitting way in the back. And we watch that movie. I get done and I have a class in the afternoon. So I drive all the way up to San Marcos for class. And I walk in, and kind of like the fact that I'm the only one seen all of MODOK is the only time it's happened in my life. I'm sitting there just doing work during class. It was a studio art design class. And all of my fellow classmates are talking about how excited they are to go see Pulp Fiction. And I just casually turn and go, oh, I just saw it this morning. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I got to go to the critics screening. It's really good. And that's never happened in my entire life.
But you were working in San Antonio and going to school in San Marcos? That's like a 45-minute drive just to get to class. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, because we lived just north of San Antonio. We lived right around 1604. Okay. And so where I lived was it was still like a 30, 40-minute drive to San Marcos. Jeez. But I worked at a store that was like 20 minutes southwest of where I was. So
it's like, oh my God, it's like trying to drive out to Sherman to go to Austin College. You're living in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I just had to retell that story again. I always associate that with Pulp Fiction.
That's like one of your bigger flexes we've seen on the show.
Yeah. I have 2. And that's one of them. So
good to know your flexes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Clay. I think we found some footage of Josh flexing in college. So God. Here we go.
Let's take a look. I know what this is going to be.
Next issue exclusive.
Yep.
Yeah, that is painfully accurate.
My God.
I love it when Josh suits up and dances.
Sorry, Clay. We'll finally let you say your rankings.
Oh, that's fine. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a home run for me. That's a perfect movie. It's a buddy movie. It's that vicious, violent ending I love so much. I just love when it turns and he just gets Brandy to attack, and just the carnage begins. I love all the music of Once Upon a Time, and like Josh was talking about earlier, just the quiet moments. Just watching, I want to call her Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie.
Robbie just live her life and go to the movie theater and asking a legitimate question that if I was a movie star, I would ask if I was at the theater. Hey, do I have to pay if I'm in the movie? You know, I know like Quinten Tarantino caught shit that a reporter was asking him, she doesn't seem to have a lot of lines in this movie, like criticizing the amount of time that she would be talking when it was like, that's not what the focus was, like judging the movie before seeing it kind of thing.
She's almost like a device to tell you what time you're living in because you're following Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
In this part of her life.
And for seeing Quentin Tarantino films, knowing what was going to happen,
exactly,
you're in that set of like, okay, I know what we're going to get to, but it doesn't happen. So he takes everything we've learned from him and just reverses it and gives us the happy ending that we kind of wanted to see.
And Tarantino loves Hollywood, and you can tell by that movie because the time he spends just building that world and driving around, like if you crop Brad Pitt driving around LA, you probably lose 20-25 minutes of that movie.
Wait.
I just can sit in that movie forever. Quentin Tarantino talked about riding around with his stepdad, and that was the way he saw California as a kid. Huh. And so to recreate that was just this nostalgia. Yeah. That, I mean, we're all kind of at an age we dig seeing nostalgia. But he built it and filmed a movie around it and made it.
We just don't have the money to build our own Old LA.
So yeah, and I just I'm not sure if trying to explain this movie to other people that don't get it. Like I've had people go, I just don't get that movie, and I almost hate it because they don't get it. And it's one that it really triggers with me. So I always want to help people and go, oh no, but this and this and this, and I always feel like I'm asshole movie guy when I do that.
That's how I feel about Snyder Cut, but I've just left it alone.
Well, okay, so as much as I love that fucking movie and can talk about it, Pulp Fiction.
We'll revisit it. We'll revisit it.
Yeah, sure. I definitely need to rewatch it because I feel like key to that movie is knowing what happens to Sharon Tate, and if you go into that film not knowing that history, it falls flat. Yeah. The ending will fall flat. Every scene that she's in will fall flat because you have to know that history going in.
Yes, the people.
Anyway, Clay, go on. I'm sorry.
Pulp Fiction, for story, for everything, is my second. I just love that movie so much. I love movies that started telling tales in that order. Like there's a Halloween movie called Trick or Treat. Yeah, that does like a 4-part story. That's really
I like that one.
Well done.
I love
the anthology. I like the anthology kind of horror stuff, like Creepshow.
Yes. Like just give them a little bit of story, and then we can go to the next one and just build on it. Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2. I put those together as my third favorite.
You know what I love about Kill Bill, and we'll go more into detail. I love all the different films that we get, like all the film styles that we get, including the anime part of it.
Yeah,
with fucking amazing.
It's done so well. Yeah. I mean, I could just sit and watch the animation part of that film. That's probably my favorite segment.
I think that's one of the things that kind of, as Tarantino being a fan of animation, I think that when a director's behind animation that's so well regarded, like that helps push the medium forward into other people that may be hesitant to jump into watching animation. So.
As much as I've said how much I love Jackie Brown, it's my fourth favorite on the list. Still a great movie. I watch it anytime I can find it, and it's just this nice kind of casual crime story with a great soundtrack, the 70s. I love that the main character, I can't think of his name, but I know his name is something Cherry Bell Bonds. He goes and hunts down this Delphonics cassette just because it reminds him of Jackie Brown. Like, and he puts that on, and so much of that movie is her just being a queen. Just kind of, she can come into a scene and own it, pull back and let everyone do their job, and she's got to share time with like awesome people in that film. Mm-hmm. So, Death Proof is 5, and
let me ask you about Death Proof. What's the movie? What is it that makes you like that movie for you?
I love seeing the girls get the car and they're wanting to do this trick. And Zoe Bell was a stunt person who became an actor. And so I love seeing her and, do something that's not normal. But then she climbs out in front of a car and has to play this character who's doing this wild stunt. And I love Kurt Russell. I mean, he's just a badass in everything. He shows up eating nachos. You kind of get who his character is, I mean, well, they do call him Stuntman Mike. But when you get in that moment where he gets in the car and you're not sure what's going to happen to the girl and the tension just starts to build, I love that. I could sit in this movie for a long time and just talk about all my favorite things, but with the cars hit and the bodies fly.
Yeah.
Just
the leg.
The leg. Oh
my God. I remember going to watch this like at I don't know if it was midnight, but it was pretty late because it was both the Grindhouse feature, both movies. And then we get all those cool fake trailers that led to Machete. being made. Yeah.
And the place where they have drinks is down in Austin, and it's like this chili bar, and I've been down there and has great food and stuff. So, but the last films I'm just kind of throwing a pile. I like Hateful Eight. I like Reservoir Dogs, but it's not ones I seek out to rewatch and go through. Django Unchained, another one, like it just has a lot of violence against black people that really we've seen so much in the cinema that's like, oh man, I just no, it's tough to watch over and over again.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Can I add one to mine? Because I know I've mentioned it a few times, but no one brought it up. Tarantino's sequence in Four Rooms, I love a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've never seen Four Rooms, it's a very haphazard film, right? The conceit is it's 4 stories that take place in a hotel over one night, and Tim Roth plays the bellhop that has to deal with all these things. But I just want to read you the description of Tarantino's sequence, because one of the things that makes it really great is it's all one shot. It's a 20-minute sequence that filmed entirely in one shot, which at the time was unique. It's become much more common since then. But this is what happens. It's in the penthouse. The penthouse is occupied by famous director Chester Rush, who's played by Tarantino, and his friends. They request from the bellhop a block of wood, a donut, a ball of twine, 3 nails, a club sandwich, a bucket of ice, and a hatchet as sharp as the devil himself. Ted's the bellhop, is invited to join their challenge. Chester's friend Norman has bet he can light his Zippo cigarette lighter 10 times in a row. If Norman succeeds, he will win Chester's car. But if he fails, his pinky will be cut off. Ted, asked to wield the hatchet should Norman fail, tries to leave, but Chester offers $100 to hear them out and another $900 to perform this assigned role. Norman's lighter fails on the first try, and Ted immediately chops off his pinky, sweeps up the money, and leaves the penthouse with an energetic step. As the credits roll, Chester and company frantically prepare to take a screaming Norman to the hospital.
I found an image of Tarantino pitching the movie.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a great sequence. It's good. There's the sequence before this one is directed by Rodriguez. And the cast is very fascinating.
Madonna's in it.
Witch's Coven sequence with Madonna. Yeah. Anyway, just if you want a lesser known kind of offbeat Tarantino film sequence, go check that out.
And Tim Roth is really good in that.
Yeah, Tim Roth is fantastic in it.
But I mean, what is he not good in?
Very true. Yeah.
I mean, because all the Quentin Tarantino stuff, even just the minor Pulp Fiction stuff, is memorable. But Reservoir Dogs is just a fucking home run for him, man. That's like, love seeing Tim Roth in that.
Is he in any later Tarantino film? Sorry.
Because he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and he got cut out. There are 3 actors that got cut out of that movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me that Tarantino cut.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours long. It's in black and white, and it's all slow-mo.
It's this an additional 20 minutes of Brad Pitt driving around.
That's the Snyder cut version of Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And then for 10 minutes of it turns into Matthew McConaughey driving a Lincoln.
Oh man.
I love that awesome. SNL skit. I love the SNL skit where Jim Carrey is being Matthew McConaughey and he just whatever reason keeps doing this. Anyway, was that did we get to all your films? Did you say Inglourious Bastards?
I didn't that's one that's I just kind of it's okay. I enjoy the opening scene. I enjoy the Bear Jew. I enjoy Nazis being burned and to death and shot up. But that's about it. Like,
I think one of my favorite Brad Pitt performances in that movie, just his like gruff, like, you know, like army dude, and
when they have to impersonate soldiers and go in, that scene is.
Oh, Christoph Waltz! It was my introduction to Christoph Waltz too.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I've seen him in anything before that. that scene with the beginning with the milk. And I'll say it like that because I don't want to say with the other adjectives that that could describe that scene. But cool. I think, is there any final thoughts on Tarantino or this movie? I mean, we'll do more. We'll definitely do more Tarantino stuff.
Well, you've
because
heard
obviously-
you've heard of fan theories that the universe is connected and what his universe.
Oh, speaking of fan theories,
Yeah.
what the fuck's in the briefcase? I mean, I've seen a few things, but what are you guys like? What's y'all's favorite theory?
Who knows? I gave up thinking about that a long time ago.
his soul.
That's
That's what
what
I think too.
That's what
It's
I
his
think
soul.
that's the most prevalent theory, that Wallace's soul is in there,
Yeah.
which would be a whole weird thing. But-
Why did he sell it to like 4 stoners? You know,
Yeah, how did these kids come into it? And like, there's a story there I would love to find out.
Yeah. All right.
I respect the fact that it's not explained, and I love stories that do that. Right? They don't feel the need to have to explain it. It should remain a mystery. So
Agreed.
Cool. Well, let's move on here.
Really, I never. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
I'm
love
curious how many times you saw people that were in comic book movies, as you saw, like, that room is filled with comic book people. And you just go, oh, he's from Luke Cage. That's Green Lantern. We've got Nick Fury. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez, I you know what? I forgot to get a question of the day, so I don't know if we'll have one unless y'all have one.
well, it could just be how we ranked the Tarantino films.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
We
in
just
the
did
comments, leave us your ranking. Well, what is this, Josh?
Thank you.
it. God.
I love this. This is now on the StreamYards and it's going to be here forever.
See, I find that so funny because years ago when I was putting together all of my comic strips into a new volume, I wrote a new introduction, and the joke was that I had starred in Spider-Man, and I just put the author photo was Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Because when I had hair and no beard and was younger and skinnier, I looked a little bit like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. So it works.
Not
And I had that haircut.
Not a Seabiscuit.
A Seabiscuit, yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to a recommendation so we can wrap this up and get out of here. I guess we'll wait till Clay comes back to get his, but we can start with other people. Josh, I'm just gonna pick you.
Sure. Mine's an oddball. Here, I can share my screen if you want.
Yep.
Mine is a game that I really like. Called Imperator Rome. It is from one of my favorite game studios called Paradox Interactive.
I know the studio.
They created Crusader Kings 2 and 3 are probably their most famous games. This was and it's a bit sad actually, but this game came out a year ago, 2 years ago now, and it was meant to be their new big grand strategy game. That's what they specialize in, are kind of these often historically based grand strategy games. If you like looking at maps for 100 hours and strategizing, this is the game for you. But they just announced, because they just did a terrible rollout of an DLC for their other big tentpole game that just broke it. And in the uproar and aftermath of that, they basically said they're pulling all of the developers off of this game and moving them onto other games. So the impression is this game is no longer being developed, but it's a fantastic game. It's their historical game set in the ancient world. And even though it's called Imperator Rome, what's really cool about it is you can play across the ancient world. I love playing as ancient India. It's so much fun. You have this big, vast area of land. It's in a really... Oh, sorry?
I was just say backwards colonizing. Good for you.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's a fun game. It doesn't... I think a lot of people, myself included, were surprised that when this was developed, because it's based in, or partly based in ancient Rome, my impression was, oh, this is a perfect time to like take the model of Crusader Kings, where it's almost like a strategy RPG, because it's Rome, right? But what's fascinating is they didn't do that. And in fact, the time period of the game ends when Imperial Rome begins. It's set during the Republican era. So it's a fascinating game. I really like it. You can almost always get it on sale, either from Paradox or Steam or the Humble store. So yeah, I just recommend it. When I just want a couple hours of just not focusing too much, I boot this up and play it. So there you go. Imperator Rome. That's my
cool
pick of the week.
All right. Let's go with Kyle. What do you got for us?
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to bring someone so I can maybe try to share it. Hold on.
Okay. Then let's go to Clay.
All right. If anyone saw our Arrow trailer reaction, you heard me talk about Arrow Video. Arrow Video puts out odd films that kind of have a cult following, and one of the ones I just got was Dead End Drive-In. I love this movie. I'd never seen it until last night. It's an Aussie exploitation film about poverty and people getting trapped in the cycle of poverty. Dead End Drive-In is, and that's the cover art. I mean, it's really awesome.
That looks dope. I know you didn't make this one.
Yeah, I know. Incredible cover art. It's got more art on the inside. It's got booklet. Arrow puts out incredible stuff. I know I sound like I'm doing a commercial for them, but the quality of their stuff is fantastic. I briefly talked about the extras that were on there, but I want to drop in a YouTube video of the director that it's on this Blu-ray. He did a PSA called "Hospitals Don't Burn Down," but he did it in an exploitation way, so that this hospital burns down, and it's very graphic, and it was worth the DVD alone to watch how weird this was. And it's 24 minutes. It's on YouTube. You can watch it, but it had better quality on the DVD.
Okay. Now, you sent me a link for Twitter. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I have been watching Workaholics. I'm a big fan of those guys, and that's kind of been on repeat in my house. And so I watched Game Over, man, and was listening to their podcast, and the director said they have a ton of extra footage that they didn't use. And so I made a little Snyder-esque, released the new check cut poster, and got a lot of traction on it. So I thought it was fun. I thought you guys would like it.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know. This looks real good. I thought this was like an official thing.
Oh, no. I made that from a couple of their posters, and I'd been watching it. It's not as funny as their show, but it's the guys, and I love their humor. So if you like Workaholics, Game Over Man's pretty fun.
Cool. All right, Kyle, you ready, or you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I got it. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, share, damn it.
Sharing is caring, I hear.
Jesus. That's not letting me do it. Basically, I was gonna. My recommendation was for the Looney Tunes show. They have this. They have the whole thing on HBO Max. Seasons 1 and 2.
Good.
Yeah. 2 seasons, 52 episodes, ran from 2011 to 2014, and it is an amazing show. Basically, it's the Looney Tunes doing real life. So Bugs has become.
So not this one.
No, that one.
That's it. That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you can watch just a little bit, so basically, Bugs is basically become like, I don't want to say a billionaire, but basically has created some kind of carrots machine that creates carrot juice, and so he owns a house now. Daffy's living with him, basically mooching off of him. They also Speedy actually lives in the wall as one of the roommates also, but owns a pizzeria that they all go to eat at. The Tasmanian Devil is their pet dog. Yosemite Sam is their redneck neighbor who, like, I mean, if you want to take like the typical redneck stereotype, he does it all.
Anti-masker.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually have one time when he's actually trying to talk about they're actually using a Reba McEntire song. There's a hole where my heart should be, and he uses the lyrics in the show. And then Porky again, like I said, has been harassed by the police for not wearing pants.
Oh boy! Wait, nobody's wearing pants. That's discrimination.
And throughout the series, they've done music videos, and one of the best videos. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but Clay might remember this because I did it on Tech Tards. But there was one called Chicken Hawk, where basically talks about the chicken hawk and Foghorn Leghorn trying to get to eat other things, and it's an amazing music video. So I recommend this show. It's just perfect, not even just for kids, for adults too, because there's humor in there that some kids probably aren't going to get, but if you're an adult, you will.
I'm so glad you brought this up. I always meant to watch it.
That's the heart of Looney Tunes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I only ever caught maybe one or two episodes, but there was one where the running gag was Bugs would be talking to Daffy and was explaining how something like dangerous had occurred, and Daffy's like, "Did you die?" He's like, "No, I'm standing right here." And he keeps asking it again and again and again. He's like, "Are you okay? I'm standing right here." Like, I don't know. It was a good gag.
And then Bugs' girlfriend Lola is actually voiced by Kristen Wiig.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm just glad they folded Lola Bunny into the canon.
Yeah.
Well,
Daffy's got a girlfriend too in the series. There's actually a female duck that he's dating too. So like they each have girlfriends, and they're like, it's just watch the series. It's greatness.
It's Daisy Duck. She left Donald.
No, it's not Daisy.
Cool. Well, I have a comic that I haven't read, but I know it's going to be super cool. It's called The Nice House on the Left. It's by James Tynion. Yeah, it's a horror book by James Tynion on the DC Black Label.
Is it?
Oh, that's different.
With any characters we know, or
no? This is it looks like a standalone story, separate from any of his work. But if you read any of his independent comics, Something's Kill the Children, Department of Truth, like all that stuff is super good. So I'm glad they're letting James do something on the DC Black Label. This is the Ken Lashley cover. It's not there's so many covers for this. So we'll see how many I end up with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know anything about this book other than it's horror and James Tynion is writing it. So, but
he writes great horror.
Yeah, I'm recommending it. I'll probably be reviewing it this week.
So is Black Label now kind of like their Vertigo? Like it doesn't need to be like DC Universe characters, because that's what I've seen mostly, right? Like
Black Label just means that it's not part of the normal DC continuity, whether it's superheroes or not.
Okay. Because
even the superhero stuff, that's not in continuity supposedly. So, like 3 Jokers wasn't in continuity, even though.
You sure about that?
It's a Batman book. Yeah, no, yeah,
it's Black Label. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Black Label. So anything like the Scott Snyder book, The Last Night. Batman The Last Night, like it's not in continuity because we know that, but it's a way for him to finish out his story with Greg Capullo. No. So they can have their cake and eat it too.
I got something for this is let me see if I can find her real quick. This is for Daniel. There's a podcast that I listened to and I brought up on the show before called The Movies That Changed My Life. It's recorded basically by I can't remember the guy's name, but he works for IMDb. And the most recent episode, this is for you, Daniel. He's interviewing Zack Snyder.
Oh hell yeah! I mean,
and apparently, usually the person that he interviews bring the 3 films that changed their life. Right now, all they have on the thing is Excalibur and Blue Velvet. So I'm kind of interested to hear how those influenced his freaking life.
Excalibur is his favorite movie. Is it
okay?
His favorite movie.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I've got the Blu-ray of that. I need to watch it.
I haven't seen it in years.
I've never seen it.
I don't want to open this box, but there are many references to it in Army of the Dead.
Of course there is.
But I don't want to open that box because that's thoughts. And that may be another episode later on.
Yes. I'm very ready. I'm very ready for a challenge.
I left you a challenge on the Discord. I don't know if you saw
Done.
it.
It's already done.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. Well, I think that's our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching Pulp Fiction. I'm glad I finally watched it.
Finally, 2 years later.
That doesn't mean I'm going to watch every movie you guys want me to watch. All right? I don't have enough time for that.
Hey, we would have to get a lot of subscribers for all of us to watch Avatar.
No. Not
We
gonna
said-
happen. I don't
we
care
said-
how many
well-
subscribers
A
we get.
lot.
I was
Yeah.
saying 1,000, so we can actually monetize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're gonna get paid for it, then I'm good to do it.
I will only see Avatar if someone pays me to see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll give that one.
So at 1,000, none of us have seen James Cameron's Avatar and have no intention of doing it on our own.
And yet,
Um,
I watched. Oh God, I can't believe I did this, but I watched M. Night's The Last Airbender just because I was curious of what the difference was from the animated series.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
It is a piece of garbage.
I can't defend that movie at all. Hey, but that old movie looks dope.
Huh?
The old movie that M. Night Shyamalan's doing is just called Old.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer for it. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah. I've
It looks
seen some
dope.
stuff from it.
It looks interesting. It looks like an interesting concept. So we'll see. All right. Well, that's our show for today. Let's do one more.
Yes.
Josh is flexing.
I'm trying to picture Tobey Maguire bald with a beard now. Let's see if you're
I wish I had more editing skills to throw Josh's head on there.
If Tobey Maguire has aged into this, I feel really bad for him. So
He'd be lucky, Josh.
Well, we'll find out.
oh, thanks, man.
If he appears in No Way Home, then we'll see.
yeah.
One last thing. They cast the Craven the Hunter. Holy shit.
I know.
Oh.
Where did this come from? Why is there a Craven the Hunter movie?
Oh, no.
Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yep.
Yeah, Quicksilver.
Yeah. So the other Quicksilver is now playing Craven the Hunter.
Do we only have a handful of roles for these people? I
guess.
mean, is there anything left? I mean, Jesus.
But why? Like, are they doing
I don't know.
Craven's
I don't know
Last
what's happening.
Hunt? That's
don't
the
think
only
so.
Craven story worthy of
I
a
don't know.
cinematic retread. I mean,
Kyle, you had something.
Yeah, no, the fact you brought that up. Apparently, there's been a news. From what I can tell, it seems to be legit. But apparently, No Way Home is actually going to open the door for Sony and MCU's shared universe, where they're going to be sharing all the Spider characters from Sony over into the MCU.
Finally, we can have that Morbius movie that I want.
That's the smartest business model ever.
No
buy
kidding.
a property from Marvel and sell it back to them so they make the movies and you just cash a
No,
check.
and that we might actually get Spider-Man with Venom now. So I'm like, this. If this actually works, I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, we'll see how that Carnage movie goes. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah,
So-
I do want to see. I mean, Woody Harrelson's awesome.
yeah. I
Which
mean,
Natural
that's
Born
the only
Killers?
reason I give it some saving grace. It's
Natural Born Killers.
Tarantino wrote Natural Born Killers, right?
yep.
Yeah.
So it all
We didn't
goes
even
back.
talk about True Romance,
We didn't talk about True Romance,
and I
Which-
love True Romance.
I have the vinyl
Which-
soundtrack.
Which is my timing wrong? Didn't it go Reservoir Dogs, True Romance, then Pulp Fiction, or did True Romance come out after Pulp Fiction?
No,
God.
it was True Romance first. We only ranked the ones that he directed.
Right. But I'm just because I remember that movie really being heavily promoted as a Tarantino written
Yeah.
vehicle.
It's such an amazing film, though. Oh my
yeah,
God.
it's Tony
Yeah.
Scott though, right?
Yeah.
I need to see that again.
Clarence, you're so cool. I love that movie. We've lost your audio, Daniel.
Let us know in the comments what Tarantino movie we should watch next. Yeah, I was coughing. I muted myself and then I forgot to unmute. But thanks for watching, everyone. My co-host, thanks. This was a lot of fun. Until next time, here let's go out with a bang.
This is a tasty burger.
That is a tasty burger.
I'm off to Big Kahuna Burger.
Let's go.
Yes. I wish there was a Big Kahuna Burger around.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hail Bebo.
My vagina is haunted.